Good evening, everyone. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. I'm Scott Molchan, the Million Dollar Landscaper. I'm a landscape business coach that helps landscapers like yourself become more profitable by understanding their numbers. So, over the past few weeks, if you've been watching any of the lives we've been doing, we've been talking about estimating and planning out your 2022 landscaping season. And one of the biggest questions we see inside our landscape business owners Facebook group is, what should I charge for this? How much should I charge for that? So we've been really diving in the past few weeks and kind of laying out what numbers you need to understand and what you need to put into your estimates to make sure you're making those profitable estimates. So tonight I wanted to hop in live and just open it up to everyone to let you know if you have any questions about estimating, not sure where to begin, what to kind of consider or look at. Now is the time to kind of hop in and ask questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comment section. I'll bring them up on screen and do my best to get you answered. Before I do that, I just want to give a quick shout out. One of our guests here that we had on our Million Dollar Landscaper podcast just sent me something in the mail. So I'm going to kind of open it up and see what they sent us. So it's actually from Monique Allen. So big thank you to Monique Allen of Garden Continuum. She just sent me the book Stop Landscaping and Start Lifescaping. So I'm really excited to dig in this book. I actually have a member of our academy just purchased this book, and he said it's great so far. It just gives a different perspective on different things. So I'm excited to start reading that one. But just wanted to hop in here and kind of share a screen that we've been sharing with everyone here on what goes into producing those profitable estimates. And let me share my screen here with you so you can see this. And just so you know, if you guys have any questions about anything that we say here and want to throw out a debate or whatever it is, let me know. I'd love to see what everyone's thinking and what they think about all this stuff. So what goes into creating a profitable estimate? Well, inside our Million Dollar Academy, we teach a few different estimating systems, and one of them, or one of the big ones, is an overhead recovery estimating system. So what does that mean? Well, overhead is those really items that you can't directly bill to a customer. You can't send a bill or put on your invoice for your rent. You can't put that on your invoice. You can't put on there for your bookkeeper or CPA or attorney or lawyer or anything like that. Correct? No, you can't put that on there. Those are certain things that go into an overhead budget. And that's one of the things we teach inside the academy. But to actually create that overhead budget, we need to understand what our true labor cost is. So in our academy, we teach, and I'm not trying to promote academy. This is something you need to do no matter what kind of estimating system you do. No, it doesn't matter if you're using Yardbook, doesn't matter if you use Element, doesn't matter if you use Synced Up, Service Autopilot, any of these. This is the stuff that you need to know and to be able to create those profitable estimates. Oh. All right. So my iPad's ringing. I don't even have my phone on me. And one of those things is actually creating understanding what your true labor cost is. And what I mean by true labor cost, it is actually creating, sorry, my phone won't stop ringing. Is actually understanding what your true cost is for your employees. And it's more than just what you pay for their base wage. It is more than the, 15, 18, 20 bucks an hour that you're paying those people, maybe 25, even 30 bucks an hour I've seen. It is more than that. Obviously the FICA, FUTA, SUTA, all those types of things. But you also have to consider that you pay for their, any safety glasses. You pay for, if you give them clothing allowance, boot allowance, vacation time. All those things are included in your true labor costs. We actually go a little bit step further. We look into their productivity. So not all employees, well, actually no employee is actually working 100% of the time. Come summertime, they're going to stop. They're going to take a break. Wintertime, they're going to warm up. They're going to sit in the truck or whatever it is to kind of warm up. Nobody's 100% productive all the time. So it's one of the things you need to really consider when you're looking at the true labor costs. So that's number one that we look at inside of our Million Dollar Academy. The next thing we look at is understanding what our equipment costing us, what our equipment costs. So when we look at our equipment, obviously you don't have rent or, the purchase price of the equipment, but you have ongoing maintenance, or you start adding on stickers or wraps of the trucks, or, those lights, all those types of things. Those cost, you money. And if you're not charging your customers for this, it's coming out of profits. So it's important to really start looking at your equipment and figuring out what it's cost for every piece of equipment. And honestly, when you start putting all these numbers together, you're like, holy cow, this costs a lot more. Just to kind of give you a quick example, we had one of the Academy members. He purchased a truck. He purchased a couple years ago, and it was like 10 grand. It was actually going to cost him, I don't remember exactly, but it was like $14,000 or $15,000 a year to run this piece of equipment, to maintain this piece of equipment. Now it needed a little more work, but it costs a lot of money. So it was more than actually what he paid for that piece of equipment. So then you start looking at different things as like, well, maybe I should just buy a piece of equipment or lease a piece of equipment. And we're not going to get into that to here, but it's very important to understand your true equipment costs. So now you have a true labor cost, you have your true equipment cost. Now we can take those numbers of what it is, what your employees are costing you for a year, what your equipment is going to cost you for a year, and then we can place it into our budget, our overhead budget. And inside our budget, we actually lay out, it looks very similar to a P&L statement. And there's a couple reasons behind it. But as far as a P&L statement, you're going to have, what you are looking to make for this year for revenue. So we look at 2022, what our projected outlook is for 2022. Are we going to be, going up in revenue? Are we going to be, the same as what we did last year? These are some of the things we need to really look at as far as what we're going to do from sales. And then below that, you're going to have your cost of goods. So the cost of goods are going to be your labor costs, your equipment costs. It's going to be your material costs. These are important to understand because it's going to help us predict, and see what our gross profit is. So once we understand our true labor costs, our equipment costs, our material costs, if you have subs, maybe there might be some miscellaneous stuff. And then we subtract that off our revenue. That's going to give us our gross profit number. And to understand, we need to really look at it. So it's our revenue minus all the material stuff. And that's going to be our gross profit margin. So we need to look at those types of numbers and see that we're making a profit on that. Obviously, it's very important because if you're not making a profit there, that's even before your rent, your utilities, and all that stuff. If you're not making a profit there, then something's wrong. Either perhaps you did some numbers wrong, or our projected sales are wrong, or you just need to increase your profits or increase our prices for jobs. But it's important to kind of look at that. So now we have our overhead. We need to really dive in. And like I said earlier, our overhead is our numbers of like what you pay for rent, what you pay for utilities, what you pay for your bookkeeper, what you pay for marketing, advertising, those types of things. That's our overhead. And once we create all that stuff, so we have our cost of goods up top, our sales, our cost of goods, and our overhead, we subtract that all out. That is what our net profit is. So that should be basically what we have at the end of the year kind of in our bank. Typically, that's not what happens, but that's our overall goal. And when we start putting all these together inside the academies, we start seeing people sometimes are coming back with a negative number, like, holy cow, what the hell's going on? I don't want to make a negative number. So we start looking in, is it, can we cut some of our overhead? Is there things that we can take out? Is there things we can get rid of? Is our telephone bill too high? Our utility bill too high? Or can we lower our labor costs? Can we get rid of some people? Can we become more productive and more efficient on jobs? Since it's very important to start looking at this overhead budget. It does a lot more than just creating a budget. And I know some of you might be thinking, crap, budget, I don't want to deal with that. It's a lot of work. I don't want to mess with it. But it's actually fairly simple when you start taking a really good look at it and start looking at it and saying, there's a reason for doing this. And when you start looking at it and putting it all together, it helps you understand a lot and help you kind of predict out your year. So then after you create your budget, what we have after that is we obviously need to be charging our customers for what our overhead budget is. So we need to be charging customers for our labor. We need to be charging for our equipment, and we obviously need to be charging for materials. but we need to account for that overhead. Those items, like I said, you can't bill directly to a customer for our rent, our utilities, our CPA, our lawyer, those types of things, our marketing. And what we recommend is to charge them a certain percentage, and that's going to be recovered through an overhead recovery estimating system. So some of the different types of overhead recovery estimating are the SOARs, the single overhead recovery estimating system, the DOORs, the dual overhead recovery estimating system, the MORs, the multiple overhead recovery estimating system, and the OPPH, overhead profit per hour estimating system. Now, we didn't create any of these. These are just some of the standard ones that have been out in the industry for a long time. And many of you, I've just been coming across, they'll either use like a SOARs estimating system or MORs. There's some people that are using the OPPH, and they're all fine. They all recover the overhead in a certain manner. So basically, we have our overhead, and we're going to take a bit of that, and we're going to charge every single customer a certain percentage. And the way it's split up in the estimate is basically done through either one of the SOARs, which is a single. So we're just basically putting all the materials, all our overhead, all our materials, our labor, um, all our equipment, and then we're going to add a percentage to that to recover that overhead. And then we're going to add our profit that we desire on it, and that's your total bid price. The doors, very similar, but we're going to take that percentage that we're pulling off that overhead, and we're going to split that percentage between our materials and labor. And this one's a little bit better because we're going to take it and split it over a couple different, either through material or labor. And this is a little bit better because most landscape jobs have material and have labor. And it's a better way because if you really look at your work, a lot of landscape is labor. You'll have some jobs that maybe have more equipment, some will have more labor, but most of the time it's labor. So this doors splits it up a little bit better overall. And then we start getting into MORs. Now this one splits that overhead, like I talked about, that percentage up in a couple different ways. We're splitting up over materials, equipment, subs, and labor. So it's even a little bit better. Now the best one overall that I've come across, and we can get in all kinds of debate about this and disagreements on this, is the overhead profit per hour. And this one's all based on the field hours. So depending on how many production hours you're estimating, we're charging based on that. So this one does require a little bit more work on your end, but overall it's probably one of the best systems out there. So if you guys have any questions about anything, how are you going about creating these estimates in your system, in your business? Are you just kind of taking materials, multiplying them by 2? Well, that might get you by for a little while. But over time, it's really going to hurt your business. Sorry, very dry today. Got a drink. So it's very important to actually start creating an estimate. And I really recommend going over and using one of these overhead recovery estimating systems. And it's probably one of the best ways to kind of just recover that overhead. And when you actually do the multiply by 2 or 2 or 3 or 2.3 or whatever it is, you're just basically guessing and hoping you're recovering your overhead. Now, for the most part, it may work for a while. But as your business grows, and this is something we had in our business, as we grew, we noticed at the end of the year, we didn't have any money in the bank or very little money. Like, man, we've been busting our butt. We look at our job costing, and we're like, man, we're making a profit, but where'd our money go? What's going on? It wasn't until we started really diving in our numbers and started looking at it, is we weren't charging enough to recover that overhead. And this is where we see many landscapers really go down. And this is one of the reasons we started a $1 Million Academy, is because in our area, we're near Chicago. And there's really, I don't even honestly know how many landscapers are near us, but there's quite a few different landscape companies that are near us. And over the years, I see landscape business come and go. And, and honestly, looking at a lot of them, it's not because they didn't know how to do the work. They're great at doing what they needed to do. Most of the time it's because they didn't understand the numbers, didn't charge appropriately, and actually just financially couldn't afford to stay in business. So they went out of business. So this is why we wanted to really, learn our numbers for ourselves, for our business. But this is why we wanted to go on and help teach other landscapers like yourself to learn your numbers. So it's important to to really take a look at your business. And if you're struggling and not making the money you want to, it's probably because you're not charging enough. Where you're not charging enough, that could be, various different ways. I see a lot of landscapers aren't charging for the equipment. They're charging for material, they're charging for labor, but they're not charging for the equipment. And that's going to be a big fault to you. Um, you know, if if you went out, one thing I always say, if you went out to do a job and say you don't have that piece of equipment, but you go out and rent it, you're obviously going to charge that to the customer, right? Why is that any different than if you purchase that equipment or went out and lease that piece of equipment? It's not. It's the same thing. You just need to be charging in a certain manner, and we recommend charging each individual job the cost per hour for that piece of equipment. Now, inside our academy, we do um, teach you how to create and understand what the cost per hour for each piece of equipment. So you should be charging that, that customer for that skid steer. You need to be charging for that mini skid steer, that truck. That truck is going out there and sitting out there in that job for 8, 10 hours, whatever, however long you're working. It should be charged for that 8 to 10 hours, however long it's going to be on that job, not just the travel time going there, because there's opportunity costs. If that truck wasn't at that job, it could be somewhere another job, and making money somewhere else. But no, it's really stuck on that job all day. It needs to be charged to that customer all day. Same thing with your skid steer. Same thing for your mini skid steer, payload, or whatever it is you're using. That is on that job all day, so it should be charged to that customer for all day. So let me know if you guys have any questions about anything. I'd love to see what you guys are doing to create your estimates, how you're creating your estimates. And are you guys using some kind of estimating system? Are you using Synced Up? Are you using LMN? Are you using Service Autopilot? I'd love to see how you guys are doing it. Or some of you are using spreadsheets. We've been using spreadsheets for decades now. This is something we created many, many, many years ago, and it's been working great for us. We're looking to possibly upgrade it and go to automate more things, because automation is the key. With it being harder to get people, we need to look at ways to kind of, since we can't fill those positions or very easily fill those positions, we need some kind of way to automate it, and that's one of the things we're looking into. But in the meantime, we've been using these spreadsheets. They work great. Yes, they take a little bit of work, but they work fine. So let me know in the comment section, are you guys using some kind of overhead recovery estimating system, or are you just taking materials, multiply by 2, or are you just kind of figuring out your total, what you need to charge for overhead per hour and then adding that to the job? That's a little bit better than the multiplier method. But let me know in the comment section, what are you guys doing to estimate? Are you guys using some software? Just kind of guessing, going off competitors' pricing? That's another downfall I see. I see a lot of people looking at asking, what's the competitor down the road charging? Are they charging per square foot? And that's something that can really hurt you too. So let me know in the comments what you guys are doing. I do also want to give one big shout out to, they're actually one of the sponsors to our $1 Million Landscaper podcast. The company's called SendGym, and they actually just sent us some awesome prizes, or not prizes, awesome gifts. They just sent us some. Actually, I'll make the screen bigger here so you guys can see it. They just sent us some brownies. I don't know if you guys can really see them, but these things are awesome. We've gotten them before from SendGym. But these are awesome way to really thank a customer. Now, SendGym is a online app that you guys can use to send postcards, to do EDDM, to send gifts. You can actually even send looks like handwritten thank you cards to a customer. And this is something that's so cool to do, especially if you can automate it. So when you finish a job, you can automatically go in SendGym and have them send them brownies and say thank you. It's an awesome, great way to say thank you to a customer. You can send a handwritten thank you note, or it looks like handwritten thank you note to a customer. So I do want to give a big shout out to SendGym. If you guys aren't using SendGym, go check them out. Actually, I'll pull up the link here for you guys. But they do an awesome job of getting out to customers. Let me pull it up here so you guys can see. And actually, I'll share it on the screen too. Now, if you do sign up through SendGym, you can get $2 for the first month. So let me share my screen so you guys can see it. There you go. So if you sign up for SendGym, you'll actually get the first month for $2, which is awesome. Um, SendGym is something, like I said, it will check out because it's going to be helping you with your marketing. Another cool feature they have inside there is called their radius bomb. So you can kind of go into, well, not kind of, you can go into to their program. Excuse me. You can look at the map and you can actually select certain neighborhoods. You can actually highlight a certain neighborhood that you want to go around. So if I wanted to go around this particular neighborhood, I can send postcards directly to that neighborhood. I can actually do what's called 5 rounds, where I can go in and send just, if I just finished up a job in this neighborhood, I can send to all 5 neighbors according to this one address. So SendGym is a really cool way, very efficient way to market to certain neighbors, to certain people. So I encourage you guys to check that out. But let me hop back into the estimating system. So just a kind of quick recap before we finish up. Oh, here we go. We got some questions popping up. Sorry, my program's. All right, cool. Colby. Colby is actually a member of our $1 Million Academy. He said, after looking at our numbers from last year, and working with Cycle CPA, I found that I was off on my numbers and that affected the profits from last year. And then he says, now learning from what my actual numbers are, I know my overhead budget is more exact, and I'm going to be recovering my costs better. And then there was a third one. But yeah, so Colby was able to, he is a really good accountant. Cycle CPA, they're good friends of ours. Having a good accountant is so important. So he was actually able to talk to them. They helped him set up his P&L a little bit better and get his books in order. So now he knows what exactly it's costing his company for his overhead. He understands all his costs a little bit better. And now he's able to create a more accurate overhead budget because he knows his numbers. So thanks for sharing that, Colby. I'm trying to show this on screen. Yep. Sorry, thought I was going to show the other one. But definitely thank you for sharing that, Colby. Colby actually uses one of the estimating sheets we have inside the academy. Or actually, I'm sorry, no, I'm incorrect. He uses LMN. So Colby uses LMN to help him create his budget. And then he goes and puts it in. And LMN does a great job of this. Synced Up does an awesome job of this as well. So those are one of the top 2 softwares I actually recommend to help you create these estimates. Besides the Excel spreadsheets, those are great as well. But if you're not ready to afford that software, definitely go check out the estimating systems in Excel that we have inside the Academy. Synced Up actually offers a awesome tool on their website. If you go to the resources, they'll help you create the budget. They'll help you create an estimate right off of that. So definitely check that out if you're just looking to get started and not sure where to go. And it's a free option, so might as well check that out. Let me know too in the comments, like you said, how are you guys creating your estimates? Are you using some kind of software? Let me know. I'd love to see what you guys are doing. If there's no questions here, I will let you guys go. I do appreciate you guys hopping in here. This is something that we're going to be looking to do every single week. I plan on hopping in here. Now, I do want to give you guys a little heads up. I am also a full-time firefighter, so I do work sometimes on Sundays, and I will do my best to be able to hop in live. Sometimes I'm on calls, but I plan on hopping in, doing live off my phone. And if I have to leave for a call, I'll let everybody know, and we'll have to move on and proceed to another night. But I am planning on doing these every single week, every Sunday evening. So I'd love to see you guys hop in here, ask questions. I want this information to be out there. Our motto inside the landscape business, or I'm sorry, the Millionaire Academy, is that there should be no broke landscapers. Like I said, in our area, we'd see a lot of landscapers come and go, and it wasn't because they didn't know how to do the work. They're great at their work. It was either because they didn't know how to manage their business, they didn't understand their numbers, or they just didn't understand. Most of the time, it came back to the numbers. It was either that or managing the people, or how to get work. And this is all the stuff we wanted to teach inside the Millionaire Academy, because we see a lot of people doing this and going out of business because of those reasons. So we just feel that it's important to us to share this information with you. That's why we share it with our Millionaire Landscaper podcast, through our Facebook group. So if you're not inside the Landscape Business Owner Facebook group, I encourage you guys to get in that Facebook group. It's a great group of people. We try to share as much information. We have different coaches and different select people that are allowed to. We only allow a certain amount of people. Actually, I'll bring that up because we had one member of our the Landscape Business Owner Academy left because he didn't want to see a lot of promotions, and I understand that. We do our best inside this group to limit the people that are allowed to promote inside here. If you see somebody that you don't believe should be in there, please, please, please feel free to email me, message me on Facebook. And if they're not supposed to be in the group, we'll kick them out. But we do our best to limit that. So appreciate you being on, Colby. But like I said, we plan on doing this every single week, every single Sunday. I'm going to try to hop in here every single Sunday at 8 p.m. and just kind of share different bits of information. This week, I really wanted to share what goes into a profitable estimate. Again, just a quick recap. You need to understand your true labor costs. You need to understand your true equipment cost. And then off of that, you need to create that overhead budget. And understanding what goes into overhead budget is so important. And when you're creating this budget, one side note I do want to mention is that you're creating it for 2022 for this now. We're not creating it for the past. We're not looking at our P&L and doing exactly what we had this year. You know, if you're looking to grow your business by, say, 10%, then you need to, as a general rule, you need to be increasing that stuff by 10%. If you can keep it down low, that's obviously better, but that's kind of a general overall view of everything. So once you do that, then we can start taking the overhead and we're going to start charging it in a certain percentage to each estimate, depending on which type of estimating system. So like I said, there's the SOARs, the DOORs, the MOORs, or OPPH. We're charging a certain percentage in various forms to those estimates. And that's what's going to help you create that accurate, profitable estimate that we all desire. One other thing I will say is if you want to create these estimates in production hours, so you need to be thinking and understanding how long it's going to take to do things. And some of the reasons why you want to be doing this is because you want to be able to tell your team that you have 40 man hours to complete this task. If you just go to them and say, hey, we did this job at $5,000, I need you to get it done. They don't know what $5,000 means. They have no idea what $5,000 translates into time. They don't understand that. They don't know what it takes, you know, how much it costs for material. They don't know how much you're paying for all those team members. So it's very important to start bidding and start thinking of time for every single thing in your job. You know, it takes you a certain amount of time to install that base for that patio. It takes a certain amount of time to install those plants. It takes a certain amount of time to install that sprinkler system. Everything has time related to it. And that's essentially what you're doing. You're renting out your team. You're renting out your equipment. You're renting out everything you're doing. You're selling the materials, but you're renting out your material. You're renting out your labor. You're renting out your equipment. So everything has a time associated to it. So I really recommend that you start looking at production hours for every single thing. All right, guys. Well, if there's no other questions, I appreciate you hopping in here. Like I said, we're going to be doing this every single Sunday. I'm doing my best to hop in here and share as much information with you guys. If you guys want to hop on live, let me know. I can bring you on live. If you want to talk about different things, I'm always open to that. But if there's no other questions, I'm going to hop off here. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you're planning to have a great week. And if you're looking to grow your business and really understand your numbers, I encourage you to check out our Million Dollar Academy. It's one of the things we specialize in. You can talk to Colby. He knows that we go through all these numbers, and really we have a course on every single one of these. We help you break down and help you understand what your equipment is going to cost you. We help you understand what your labor is going to cost you, and we help you create that overhead budget for you. And then off of that, you can create these estimates. And we do have the calculators that are in there for these estimates too, to help you understand this better. I guess one last thing I will say before I go is we are actually considering creating a estimating masterclass, if you will. We're not sure what we're going to call it yet, but we're looking to create an estimating masterclass where you're going to learn, and we're going to give you the spreadsheets to help you calculate what it's going to cost you for your team. We're going to give you and teach you how to create or how to estimate what's going to cost you per hour for that piece of equipment. Then we're also going to give you and help you explain to you what goes in an overhead budget. And then at the end, we're going to help teach you the Moore's estimating system. We're going to give you the spreadsheets we have. So we have two different spreadsheets in our academy for the Moore's. We have the lawn maintenance side of things, and then we have the landscape side of things. So we're going to give you those spreadsheets. We're not sure of the cost yet. We're still trying to put everything together. We're seeing if anybody's interested in it. If that's something that interests you, please let me know. Raise your hand. Say, hey, whatever it is, let me know if that's something that interests you, because we want to put this together. We want you to make a profitable business this year. And in order to do that, you have to understand your numbers. You have to know what goes in your estimate system or estimating system. And this is something I'll preach over and over and over again, because it's so very, very important. I know sometimes people get scared of these numbers, don't want to understand it, don't think it's important. They're just going to keep multiplying by 2 because I've been doing so good. But wouldn't it be nice to know that you're making consistent profits overall? Not that you're doing good on this job, the next job, not so much. This job you did good, and this job, not so much. If you understand your true cost, start estimating the proper way, you're going to see your profit start going up consistently because you're estimating consistently over time. So if this is something that interests you, let me know in the comment section. Put, hey, I'm interested, and we'll get back to you guys. I did put something out in the Landscape Business Owner group, and I do appreciate those that did hop in and chime in and say that they're interested. Like I said, we're putting all this stuff together. We'll let everybody know the cost that's going to go into this. It's going to be kind of one-off class, but we're going to give you all the calculators to it. We're going to give you everything you need to create those estimates for this coming season. So, all right, guys. Well, let me know if there's any questions. If not, I'm going to hop off here. I appreciate you guys taking the time to join me tonight. Hope you guys have a great week. I know it's going to be a profitable, exciting week for you guys. I'm excited about it. My son actually won a shooting competition here. So we're going to actually be going out of town on Thursday. We're heading to, I believe it's Camp Perry in Ohio. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do there. He's heading to a national competition, so I'm very excited for my son, and I can't wait to take him out there and go hang out with him at Camp Perry. So, all right, guys, I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon. Good night.